to trainer resiliency and self-care. Again, my tagline is always, "You have the power to change your situation," and that just really speaks to, especially for us presenting this hard, challenging information to people. We want to support ourselves as well as we're supporting other people, but making sure that we are always in a space of, you know, taking care of ourselves, making sure that we are doing the things that are necessary for us to do to sustain the work, to sustain the journey, and just to make sure that we are just making, taking care of ourselves and operating in a space that, where we are healthy from within. So when we are healthy from within and in all the areas and capacities of our own lives, will be that much better when we're delivering the information and the material to others. Will be that much more impactful, if you will. So the goal of this workout is to promote trainer resiliency by way of intentional use of self-care strategies. I have a quick quote here that I thought was pretty good. Um, we do not have to become heroes overnight, just a step at a time, meeting each thing that comes up, seeing it is not as dreadful dis- as it appeared, discovering we have the strength to stare it down. Eleanor Roosevelt. So, I mean, I came across that quote and I was just thinking, like, yeah, because, in the work, we want to make impacts and we want to make lasting impacts and we want to promote change. Um, However, we're doing it through a way that, is not always received. And it's not, it might come, um, you might be combated with some different beliefs of different individuals and understandings from different individuals. And so we definitely have to do what we have to do to take care of ourselves and also just go ahead and work through those things. Just work through those things. Any questions so far? Anybody want to add anything? Any quotes that you guys are like your go-to quotes to help you through your facilitations?
I was just gonna say, I was trained, gosh, probably 2.5 years ago. So the way the curriculum is set up now is a little bit different, and I rarely get to deliver it. Maybe twice, 2 to 3 times a year, that I'm able to deliver the training in its entirety. So um, I have to like gear myself up
Yeah.
to put myself into it, and then when I do present, I have to remind myself, like, hey, it's been a while. Like, I can be a little bit hard on myself to be um just cognizant of where I sit in that, like whether it brings up trauma of my own, or how I'm
Hmm.
portraying it to people. So while I don't get to do it every day, I do have to remind myself of that self-care and putting myself, like you mentioned, intentionally
Hmm.
and able to present what I'm supposed to, be an expert on. But sometimes I do feel like a little lost in it. So just
Yeah.
my 2 cents.
No, and I appreciate that because
Sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, that just goes to this quote about being heroes overnight. Like, we're not heroes, right? Well, in a sense, right? We're not superheroes, but we are superheroes. And so the content that we're delivering is extremely heavy, and it could be traumatizing for us or it can be triggering for us. So just, and the knowledge, like the more we do it, the more we learn, but the less we do it, kind of, we create a disconnect there sometimes. And so just getting back into the routine of things and just having the attitude and just like, I'm just going to do it one step at a time. One training at a time, right? And then in the meantime of that, like, what am I doing day to day to promote the self-care, the self-healing, to be, if there are things that we're triggered about, or if there are things that come up for us, what am I doing to make sure I'm still walking in this way or this light that I should be walking in. So thank you for sharing. So I didn't reinvent the wheel, guys. I really just took time and thought about just some different things some different ways that we could promote trainer resiliency through self-care. And so I came up with 5 foundational steps. Um, one beginning with gratitude. What does that look like for everybody? Mindfulness, self-awareness. Like, what does that even look like for everybody? Creating self-care routines. And then number 5, building deeper connections. As you can see, like I found this slide show template, and I definitely could have picked some brighter pictures, but I really just thought that these just had some beautiful backgrounds and sceneries. And if you're, in Arizona, which maybe most of us are, we can, use some of these bright pictures and beautiful sceneries as of late. So, but again, gratitude, mindfulness, self-awareness, and self-care routines and build a deeper connection. So we'll definitely go through each of these in the rest of the time that we have now. And again, just create some conversation around them. I welcome any feedback back. I welcome if you got some things that you are putting into practice now. And the goal again is to help support our fellow trainers. Because while Andrea, you mentioned like we're expected to be, the the ones who know it all, right? Though, and it's just that's not the case. We are still in a space of learning, learning and growing, and that's the goal, to be learning and growing from each other. So, so 5 foundational steps to promote trainer resiliency through self-care. Gratitude. Gratitude is my first one. Gratitude is actually pretty big for me. I just, again, the definition here, the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. So just quickly, I put a couple of things that I think are super important when we talk about gratitude. So one, again, implementing a daily habit of reflecting on all the people, all the places, all the things that you are grateful for. I mean, sometimes I'm like, and so I'm spiritual, but however, my gratitude consists of saying thank you, God, for allowing me to wake up, see light, walk on ground, like have all my limbs. I go around and I name things. So now, while I may not do like this full, this full list of things that I may say, but there are times where I'm like, thank you for my heart, my liver, my kidney. Like I am grateful for all the things that I think we sometimes take for granted. So just making sure that we are you know, reflecting on the things that we are grateful for. And even if that means for us to write it down, make it big, place it in a place where you see it every single day, set it on your alarm, make it part of your morning routine. Another thing that I enjoy doing, and I find it extremely useful and helpful. Acknowledge the future people, places, things that you are grateful for in the present tense. I mean, I am grateful to make um, a six-figure income. I'm grateful that I made a six-figure income in 2023. Now, I have not made that yet, right? But I'm speaking it into my future, and I am saying thankful for the things that there are endless possibilities to do. Um, People, places, things, people. I'm thankful. Some people are like, I'm thankful that I'll have my first kid in 2023, right? And just showing your gratitude, and just Are there any gratitude practices that you all use? What are some things that you put into place on a day to day?
I'll be the chatty one.
Come on, let's do it.
I I don't express gratitude enough. And just you mentioning writing it down, I absolutely it's definitely something I need to focus on.
Yeah. Thanks for
So,
sharing that.
of course.
I actually, in my every year, and whether it be the beginning of the year, middle of the year, when I'm doing my goals for the year, the things that I want to have and do, I make sure I have a gratitude section. And so I actually printed it out. I put it in a picture frame and set it right on my dresser. And one of the things that I have been encouraged to do, I have not yet done I have not yet implemented daily, but it's reading it before I go to bed because it is super long. It's like two 2 pages, and so but just reading it, just gratitude is important. Can anybody else speak to why they think gratitude is important?
I think that I practice gratitude all the time, and I think that it just helps keep our own mind focused on the things that we're grateful for, but it also adds a positivity to your outlook on everything.
Thank you, Christy. I appreciate you sharing. Absolutely. And positivity is necessary when there is so much negativity in the world. We're dealing within our own, circles, our own places of employment, families. And so, and then in the work, we want to bring it back to the work. The work is heavy. This content is heavy, right? And so when you come at it from a positive end, while you're delivering it, right? We know that this is heavy. However, we can still, it can still, not define you, but if we're just coming at it, just being, a negative from a negative point of view, it doesn't help get the message out as clear as positive that we would like for it to be. Mm, Thank you, Chrissy, for sharing. So mindfulness is the state of active, open attention to the present. This state is described as observing one's thoughts and feelings without judging them as good or bad. And that comes from the Journal of Psychology today. And so some mindfulness activities, whether it be doing what you love, doing what you like, or just simply doing what you need to do, because there are going to be a lot of, there's a lot of things that we can actually do that helps create and support mindfulness, but it may not be some of the things that many of us love or like to do. But some of the things that I thought about was walking. Going for a long walk, being mindful that after or before delivering the content that you may need to give your brain some freedom, a breath, by walking and getting some fresh air, walking and allowing yourself to just take a minute and just have some time to yourself. If dancing is something that you love to do or like to do, put on some dancing music and just have yourself a good time. I am often reminded about just being kid-like sometimes. As adults, as parents, as, just, I mean, people, and we all have different situations and, um, go through different transitions, we tend to carry the weight of the world on us, and we go through this 24 hours a day, and we just don't give ourselves a break a lot of times. And sometimes just thinking about being kid-like and get to dancing, get to thinking, get to joking, right? Get to dreaming again. And I know these are not on the list, but here meditating, whether it be guided or unguided, journaling, stretching, reminding yourself that stretching just, oh man, it opens up all those bones, all those spaces that we kind of just it's compacted every single day and we're not breathing. You know, um, Grounding activities, just reminding yourself to come back, right? It has been a long day, or we did a training, or we're going into a training, or we're preparing. And sometimes our hours just go by so fast, and we're just so busy, so in tune to what we're doing, and we don't take time to come back to ourselves, come back to our senses, come back to our abilities, and just ground ourselves. And more. Are there any activities that you all implement when it comes down to mindfulness? Or can you talk about maybe how it has helped you do some of your trainings that you've facilitated? Let me ask this question. How many of you have already delivered the content? I know you have, Andrea. Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Jennifer, if you don't mind me asking, how many have you facilitated?
Two, I
Two.
believe. Yeah.
Okay. Were there any things that you did in the beginning? And again, you don't, I'm okay with you not sharing. I didn't want to just call you out like that. But if anybody's willing to share, is there anything that they've done before or after the trainings to help with mindfulness to get them back?
I know for me, like before presenting, I do a lot of like breathing techniques. So I get a lot of anxiety. So I kind of just do a lot of breathing and telling myself like positive things before I go up and present.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's super important, right? Because I mean, as I'm speaking now, you guys probably can't, my hands are just super clammy. I keep doing like this because, anxiety kicks in, right? And for me sometimes, but I know, what I'm doing is worthwhile. And then also, we got 10 minutes left, is worthwhile, but then also knowing that before this, I took a lot of time just to do some grounding and give myself some affirmations and things to help me through this process. So again, thank you, Jennifer, for sharing. Self-awareness. So I am a big believer in um, self-awareness, right? Other awareness, but particularly self-awareness for us as facilitators. And so being conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. So, am I making an honest effort, you know, um, before, during, and after facilitating my trainings? Am I using positive self-talk? Again, all these different things could be implemented before, during, and after. Am I recognizing my own biases? Am I operating in my authentic presence? Like, am I here or am I just here? You know, am I influencing the space positively? And so many other ways to become self-aware. Um, are there any other things that you all think about when you think about self-awareness and how it impacts in and out of facilitation mode?
Feel like that self-awareness is key just in how you're presenting and what you're presenting. Um, I know that there's been times that, something has triggered me and I hear my voice crack and I'm like, hold up, where you got to go back to that deep breath, deep breathing and say, now is not your time to take care of, what you need to, but at the same time, being able to recognize that and, apologize, say, you know what, give me a second, take my deep breath and then get back into it. But being, how you're presenting as well.
Thank you. That's I appreciate hearing that. Absolutely. Just recognizing like, oh, wait a minute, that I think I'm triggered, or whether it be triggered by the content or triggered by someone else or somebody else's reaction or somebody else's response. Again, we're going to be coming against people who have, we're not trying to change anybody's beliefs. We're just trying to deliver the information. However, we may come across where we're being kind of pressed or, um, kind of, I just say press, in a sense of like, okay, combat it back with this or that, some things that we may have to address, but finding that space to say, wait a minute, this is not about me right now, and bringing myself back, grounding myself back, and getting back to the work. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's important. Yeah, am I influencing the space positively? And I think the more that we practice self-awareness, in and out of facilitating mode is important, because once we get there, we can tap into what we already have on the inside of us, right? Where we're self-aware and we're moving through that, and especially in this space. And it also brings me to think about, like, as we are facilitating, having those co-facilitators to help us, in time of, if we need to take a break, if we need that moment, having some type of code word to say, hey, give me a moment. Um, Maybe it's your turn, or you can handle the next um, the next screen, or whatever the case may be. Just creating something to help support you, as you facilitate. Self-care routines. So just definitely implementing self-care routines. What does that look like for you? Whether that be creating a daily routine, a weekend routine, however you feel necessary to make sure that you are creating a space for self-care. And in that space, what are you doing? Are you reading? You want to make sure you're relaxing. And I put read a book. But if it's pedicure or spa or journaling or talking or crying or praying, whatever it is to, create self-care, but turning it into an intentional routine. Again, I talk about how we just get caught up in the day-to-day life, um, 24-hour in, 24-hour out. What does it look like to really stop and take care of ourselves and be intentional about there about that? Is there anyone who could share some of the things that they do on their self-care routines?
I have to laugh. I have a 20-year-old son away at college, and every Sunday he calls it his reset day. But
Okay.
he cleans. Again, he's out of the norm. But that is his self-care. Like
Yeah.
he is like, oh, I had a reset day. And I was like, great. But it puts him in that mindset to like, okay, he's in college, he's working. This is his one day to kind of reset his life, get everything organized, clean, and then helps him, reset for the week ahead.
Yep. Yep. I love
But
it.
he
I
did
love
not
it.
get the cleaning from me. So
That was not your idea.
that
No,
is not one of my self-care routines.
no, that's great to hear, because right, different people need different things, that is going to set them up and make them feel okay. Right? Well, some people can operate in different spaces. It sounds like he cannot operate in clutter or lack of organization, and he has to have that. So that is great for him to start implementing. And more importantly, it is great that he has recognized that it's important for him to have a self-care, a reset day. And so not many people do it, young or older. So um, I'm I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. Anybody else? Can anybody else share any of their self-care routines, strategies, tips? All right, so I'll go to the last slide. Building deeper connections. As we continue to facilitate and do the work, we want to make sure that we are, building deeper connections. I know that I said build relationships with other ACEs facilitators, in a sense of building a support community, whether it's in or outside of the facilitating network, building deeper relationships, being willing to nurture relationships. So it's one thing to, they always talk about building your network, can make for your net worth, but also making sure those you nurture those relationships. They're meaningful relationships, especially in this space where we are facilitating such a heavy content. It's important for us to be able to, hey, Jennifer, Andrea, Jonathan, Christy, can I bounce this off of you? Or I need a co-facilitator, or I totally bomb this this training and I just need to bounce back. And I just, so having a supportive group that could actually um, support you in a sense of we may all have been there, we may all go there at some point in time, but using those relationships to help us through and again to increase our knowledge, increase our facilitating skills, all these different things that we could do with each other in this community. Sharing information again is a part of that. Like what worked for you, what didn't work for you, how did that make you feel? Do you have any suggestions? Or here are some suggestions and different things that we can do, just building those deeper connections. And then again, all of this ties into supporting fellow trainers, um, whether you've done one or many or none. What does it look like to support our fellow trainers? I absolutely encourage you all to take a look at this circle platform and provide any feedback, and then watch those on-demand videos. Uh, I think it will be great.